everyone, this is Sahitya from Dronefluence, an initiative from National Skills Network. I'm very happy to be launching our channel Dronefluence, where we will be sharing the latest updates, create awareness, and share various viewpoints from the stakeholders in the emerging drone ecosystem in India. So in this video, we have with us Mr. Chirag Sharma, who is the CEO of Drone Destination, who talks to us about how India is emerging as the global drone destination with several skill training opportunities in this sector and also the various career opportunities that are coming up now. So without much delay, let's get into the conversation. But before we do, I request you all to please subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon to not miss any interesting updates from us in the future.
Like you said, the liberalization of the policy, the drone policy a few months ago, and various initiatives from the government are really pushing for the industry to pick up, to apply like application in various industries. I think in entertainment, it's happening in a big way. Drone shows are becoming, they are replacing, I would say, firework kind of a thing. And agriculture also we see, then surveying, we see few developments. Keeping all this in mind, Chirag, in terms of training, I would come back to training and skilling. There is also this idea that the cost of training is still pretty high. Is what do you think about this? How can it be made more affordable if it has to really scale and grow, like you just said, right? Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, first thing, the reason I'll give you a logic as to why the training cost first is high today and
Mm.
how we foresee this, the cost also coming down eventually.
Okay.
See, what's happening at present is that most training organizations, so, we become slightly more unique is because we make our own drones. So, keeping a supply chain check or having a control on the inventory is still easy for people like us. So
Mm.
tomorrow, if we want to bring in disruption, and in November you'll hear back from us again, there's a massive disruption going to happen on the pricing side as well.
Oh,
But that's more unique because we incidentally are in that regulatory environment from a manufacturing perspective. Also understand the product, the technology well, and understand how we can make it affordable for the end user. But coming back today, the DGCA certification course that we have is actually a one-to-one training. Every time someone comes on the flying site, a DGCA certified instructor is supposed to be standing right next to that person. The
yeah.
way the training is, it's like when you go to a driving school,
Yeah.
when you and you have of course the new trainee and you have your instructor. Both have the steering wheel and the parallel gearbox and everything else, clutch, accelerator, right? Same thing happens in our training, which we call it a buddy box system or so where there is a master, as in the master has one control and the slave control is to the trainee, because every time the remote control is switching hands and you'll have all sorts of people from different backgrounds. Since you only need to be a 10th pass, but the drone that you're handling is a 5 lakh rupee, 6 lakh rupee machine to begin with, you want to be careful, right? So the instructor is, as part of the curriculum, is standing right next to the pilot,
Mm.
which means what? Which means it does not scale at the level. It's not a one-to-many function. Unlike many skilling programs where you could keep adding 30, 40, 50 people in
Right.
a classroom and
Yeah.
say, chalo theek hai, isko 50 रुपए घंटे की training कर देते हैं. There are many NSQ programs also which run on very small, ticket size. Unfortunately, the flying part of it, because the drones are always in the air. It's like an airline. If an aircraft is in the air, there's fuel burn, there's operational cost, there is manpower cost. Same thing is happening in a drone. So the reason why it's expensive today is because the equipment cost itself and the cost of running the operations is high because it's a one-to-one function and not a one-to-many function.
Right.
Of course, there will be new courses which will come into play related to drone sector. I'm not saying necessarily piloting,
Mm.
but when you look at technician courses, when you talk about repair and maintenance courses, so there is a complete new. So when we look at when as drone destination we're looking at skilling, there are three broad buckets where we have identified trained manpower to fit into.
Mm.
One is the operator. The operator could be a pilot, co-pilot, instructor who has to go in the field. But before they go in the field, they have to get DGCA certified. And then after that certification, the buck does not stop there. They have to get job ready. There is a huge gap between even certification and getting job ready. That's when we offer, of course, our own expertise. Like I had mentioned, you were into services. Currently, we're conducting the PM Modi's Swamitva scheme. So our teams are present in UP, Gujarat, Andhra, conducting large scale mapping for digitization of land records. So
Hmm.
we ourselves are an expert because we have that exposure. So we conduct survey mapping expert courses. Then we have agriculture courses. So of course the guy will get industry ready. So that's the operator bucket, which today and probably for the next 6 months to a year would still stay on the more expensive side. But to give you a counter there, if you ask me, still it is probably the highest return on investment job that you can find. Because even if someone is spending 55, 60,000, an immediate job for that pilot is waiting at 20,000 rupees, 25,000. So your ROI is sitting at 2.5 months. A
Right.
commercial pilot ends up spending 1 crore of rupees to wait for a job that may give him, initially a 1.5 lakh rupee offer. So if you actually do the maths, it may sound upfront, but I think there's a lot of awareness that needs to be brought into play, that the investment versus your ROI towards placement. I can tell you, I have people who are saying, आप मुझे लाख रुपए भी करवा लीजिए, पर अगर मेरी जॉब पक्की है तो ले लो. We and our mindset runs like that.
Yeah.
So affordability, if or cost, if it meets the right expectation and the right placement opportunities are coming, then I don't think the person is looking at the cost. Now, what they're happy with, and which we are planning to introduce from November 22, that's also part of our NSG association, is skill loans. So, the cost could be high, but if you're able to break it into an EMI, you make it affordable, right? And
Yeah.
the person does not have issues with high upfront cost for training. So
Yes.
that aspect of pilot training will get covered through skill loans, will get covered through training, pilot assurance. So hopefully that answers, that question of yours.
Yes, yes, it
The
does.
hardware and the drone data analytics, these are the other two skill sets that I'm mentioning. These could be one too many. So, I could be running workshops of drone maintenance repairs. I could be running post-processing lab-based courses, which will come on the software side. So there is operator, there is hardware and software. There are three broad segments in drones. So those can be run and the cost could be optimized for the other two.
Yeah, that's true. And the way you explained also about the skill loans, I think this is a very motivating factor for people who are interested. And also, I guess, in terms of getting a job or even becoming self employed, since there's so much potential, this is a sunrise sector, and I'm sure there'll be lots and lots of people needed. So I think it really is an opportunity in terms of the fee for the training. And I hope our audience is able to understand that this is a slightly different type of training when it comes to piloting. But like you said, for the data part of it, or for the technician part of it, it could be a classroom plus a virtual or a
So
blended.
I'll tell you, our courses for UAV technicians, maintenance, they would start from anywhere from 10, 15,000 rupees,
Mm.
right? And the guy would become, then they would find themselves jobs with drone OEMs. There's so much
Okay.
encouragement on the manufacturing side, right? Make in
Yeah.
India.
Yeah.
So there are civilian drone manufacturers like us, then there are defense manufacturers. But
Yeah.
this manpower at present is very short.
Mm.
So the whole industry will need such skilled manpower also
Oh.
at different levels, right? Right from a technician level to a system engineer to a drone designer. So you will see all sorts of things happening here. And similarly, nobody's really talking about it. But if drones are in the air, at all times they're capturing data.
Yeah.
Most of the times, if you're doing a drone service, all you're doing is capturing data.
Yeah.
But what's happening with the data? That's the bigger question. How do you leverage? We keep talking of data being the new oil, data being the new gold. But
Mm.
how do you unleash and leverage the true, fruits of that data? That has to come through analytics, right?
Right.
That's when the whole notion of drone data processing, drone analytics. Once you process data, now what kind of actionable insights can you find from the data? So that's a third category. So for us, we are, incidentally, because we're a solution company when it comes to drones. So, like I mentioned to you, the Swamitva scheme as well. In our own company, we're doing everything. So right from first getting our drones qualified under survey in India, which had really, really hard specifications, only about 6 to 7 drones in the country meet the requirement of what survey India is expected to do.
Mm.
Then acquiring the data and then even processing the data. So because we're doing all this in-house, we've developed this capability, to transfer this as a skill, even for the youth. And because we're expanding so rapidly, opening up these hubs, so we will ensure that, such skill sets are available at all such locations.
Yeah.